I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I am your host, Cynthia James. I have the honor of introducing you to exquisite women, women who are change makers and who have stepped into their own power, women who have embraced their awakening and are here to show us and inspire us that we can do the same. So we come every week. We're on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and Amazon. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us and just subscribe and come back every week and meet an amazing woman. So today, my guest is Phyllis Mitz. She's an MA, a man has a Master of Arts, has counseled thousands of clients on the best ways and times to find success and happiness in life. And she provides a specialized blend of astrology and psychology, in which she holds her master's degree with spirituality and useful practicality. As an inclusive master astrologer, Phyllis is passionate about using astrology to help clients deeply understand themselves and know their soul's purpose in life, love, relationships, and work. Phyllis, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Cynthia.
Well, I'm excited to, so many people have spoken your name to me over the years and have forwarded things that they've gotten emails from you. And Phyllis says, so first of all, I would love to know how you grew up. I'm sure you didn't drop on the planet and say, well, I'll be a master astrologer. How did you grow up and where did you grow up?
Well, Ohio, for one thing. And I'll tell you, Cynthia, it has been with me really my whole life. On the playground, I was looking at people's palms and doing their numbers and doing their stars. This is definitely something that I've probably done many lifetimes and just picked up. And, it was the flower power era, right? It was the 60s. So astrology was everywhere and I picked right up on it. And I'll tell you, I've done it since I was a very young kid. And I am amazed every day still at how amazing it is, how precise it is, how helpful it is. It's just a good gig being an astrologer. I just love it.
Well, that is so wonderful. So you went to school for psychology.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then astrology was kind of running in tandem with that.
Yeah. It takes a long time to learn astrology. A lot of people think, I can do that. And the truth of it is it's very, very complex and you have to sew a lot of things together. You have to look at a lot of different cycles and kind of reason out what's going to happen. And it does take a long time, but it is definitely a labor of love. Any astrologer will tell you it is a spiritual experience because of the precision and the beauty of what the planets are telling us. And yet, a lot of it is in the delivery, Cynthia.
Yes.
How to communicate to a person about their life and their karma and their challenges and why. A big beauty of astrology is it will not only tell you what's going to happen, but it reminds you why. Like, why did you plan this for yourself? Why would you have this as part of your journey? What does your soul want to learn from all of this? So kind of going to the lesson and then saying, okay, this is what the experiences are probably going to be coming up or in your life for you to learn. It's for you. That's why I use my master's degree in psychology to know how to communicate and how to learn from what we go through, really.
Yeah. Well, it's really wonderful. So I know this is going to seem like a very simplistic question, but, people all over the world hear astrology and astrologer. But what is astrology for those who are sitting there going, well, everything she said was great, but what is it?
Well, that's a great question. What it is the study of where the planets are in the solar system and how they relate to one another, which is our group experience, which we're definitely having right now, right? But when I cast a chart for an individual, I will ask their time of birth, their place of birth, and of course, their day of birth. And we cast a chart of the sky, the solar system, from their perspective at that moment that they were born. And we look at all the planets around them, where every planet sits and every sign sits. In other words, we're not just one sign, we're every sign. I mean, that zodiac is out there over us or under us when we're born. And we have all of that within us. Some is going to be more expressed than others, and that's what astrologers will talk about. But we look at the chart and we look at, okay, what do the planets say about this lifetime? How are you going to be in love? What are you learning from your career? What's your personality like? When are you going to have highs? When are you going to have challenges? And in that way, we look at where the planets are day to day or year to year and how they affect that vibratory system that we are when we're born. And Cynthia, no two people are alike. So the planets are so different. Even if twins, they're born like minutes apart, they still have a different chart. So they have a different destiny.
Yes.
It's very, very, as I keep saying, precise and illuminating. And even if people don't believe it, it still works.
Yes.
It's still there. They just don't know that they're under that influence.
Oh, I so love this. So wait, so let me just ask this question then. So you've got this astrology and you've got this path and you've got this destiny. And then where does free will come in with that?
How we respond to what's going on.
Okay.
In other words, we can look at something, we can have an experience and really make the most of it. Or we could become bitter or, discouraged, depending on what goes on. So a lot of it has to do with how we respond to what goes on. Do we feel a victim of it? Do we feel like, okay, this is for my learning and growth? Let's do it. Let's grow from it. And it's very interesting being an astrologer at this point where humans are evolving so quickly, because I am finding that the more somebody works on their consciousness, the less sometimes jarring the experience has to be. Sometimes we're just going to have it.
Right.
But a lot of times it's less jarring because they've been listening inside and moving with what the planets are suggesting they do. It's time to go. It's time to do this on your journey. It's time to learn that. And it's captured, it's understood as we work with our consciousness. So we ride the wave, we learn it, we enjoy it, and recognize the opportunity in it a lot easier.
Oh, yeah. So, I would love to talk about, because I know you as an astrologer are aware of what's happening planetarily wise with our planet. And so, a lot of people are like, I don't get it. Why is this happening? How come God's not taking care of us wherever they are? Can we just talk about it so people start to understand that there's a reason for this and that this has cycled before?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, back in let's say years ago, astrologers were really wondering why in 2022 does it look like the world is coming together with compassion? Like, what's going to do that? Because the years before that, 2020 and 2021, as the planets were indicating a total structural shift globally and in our own unique lives, right? What was that going to do? How was that going to happen? But the planets were saying, get ready. That's going to happen. And sure enough, it happened. Now, there's planets that are beaming this very, very high spiritual, compassionate energy. And sure enough, in the Ukraine, there is a situation where a lot of people are feeling really compassionate, a lot of empathy. And, we're coming together as a world, right? Now, in my own particular point of view, I do believe that the Ukrainians have really volunteered. They have in many ways sacrificed their lives to help us do this, that they have what it takes to do this. And the challenge of this particular alignment that has to do with compassion, we have to watch, because in the age of Pisces, it was like suffering was considered the path to God. And now that we're going into the age of Aquarius, which is very individual, We're learning how to work as a team, bring out each one of our own individuality and contribute. And so the challenge right now is for us to have extreme compassion and send light and have that sense of empathy without suffering if we're not, if we're not there. And, really sending light and really working with the high vibration of how do we work as a team to hopefully come together as a humanity. And we see this in many different ways over the years, but this is one of these times where we can make a huge leap if we choose to do it. The question is always, will we choose it?
Yes. Yes. Well, and we are watching, we're watching in Europe, all these people opening their homes and showing up and being loving. And we're watching other places where people are divided and have opinions and judgments. I mean, it's very fascinating to watch, but, the level of compassion that's rising on the planet in this moment is it's tangible. I mean, it's exquisite to witness. So I want to ask you now, because I know you have a lot of clients and you work with a lot of people. How do you use astrology for you?
Well, it's tricky. It's tricky because I don't want to be ruled by it. I want to make my own choices, and I don't want to use fear like, ooh, that's not a good day, so I don't want to do it. But I am wise. For example, this year I went online and I used astrology, online dating. And I used astrology, and man, did that work. Whoa. And so, I thought, well, that was a very wise use of timing and cycle. And, that's quite good. There's other times when, say, for example, it's time to go on vacation, but the aspects aren't that great. And I think, all right, it's time to go on vacation. Am I going to not go on vacation because the energies are weird? Or am I going to be wise and, not react and, maybe make a plan B and, kind of flow with it. So, it is really like the weather, the weather is a huge influence. And are we going to work with it or act like that shouldn't be happening? Really, how do you make the most of what can happen? But I do watch it in my own life and those around me for sure. And it is uncanny the way it works.
Well, okay, I want to go back to online dating for just a little moment here. Because, okay, so clearly you found someone that was a match. Yes. Okay. And is that person into astrology too, or yes?
Well, miraculously, yeah, because it isn't all that easy to find a guy who's really into astrology. I wouldn't say he's really into it, but he gets it and he respects it. And you'd have to, to be with an astrologer, you'd have to really understand that there is a rhythm and there is an order to things, and we are watching it, and that they do influence. Yeah.
Okay, so now I just want to, you just wrote a new book.
Yeah, yes, I did.
That's coming out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know about the name of this book and why you wrote this book.
Okay, so this book is called Love Stars, Astrology Secrets to Relationships, Compatibility, and Great Sex.
Yay.
And, which is hilarious considering, my age and all. But, I found with my clients that, I would, when they were talking about relationships, I would just say, well, such and such a sign is going to be this way. It's part of the package. It's part of the karma of that sign. You know that, right? And they would say no. And I think, I was married for 30 years and we definitely knew each other's signs. And in a way, it became an easy shorthand of saying, you're just being an Aries. Or he would say, God, you're just being a Virgo, Phyllis. And we understood that, but we also understood that we were made to be that way. So, it's not like just change. It's like, no, us as souls are going to experience that and express that. And here's the conflict that could happen between signs, which I really elucidated in this book, because we needed to know, what I think is obvious as an astrologer, people don't know. And I think if you just knew this, then it would make your relationship so much easier, because you would understand that's in the person's nature. And here's how to work it out. And even with making love, I think if you just knew what these signs like and want, it would be So nice, right? So I thought, write it down and let people know because it's there. It's been there for the ancient times. We've known it forever. And I thought, let's just communicate it in a very hip and cool way and get the information out there.
Well, yeah. Well, what I love about that is it's like when you have this understanding, you get to honor and embrace who the other person is, and they get to do the same for you. And you get to go, oh,
Yes.
we're having this conflict in this moment because of this. We can do it differently, or we can make a different choice. And so when clients come to you and they're wanting to open to relationship, what do you tell them? How do you work with them?
Are you saying when they're wanting to open to relationship?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, first of all, Cynthia, there is a tremendous amount of truth to timing is everything.
Okay.
I mean, it is true that there are cycles of love, there's cycles of marriage, there's cycles of children. It is right there. So that's when it's easy. That's when it's like, oh yeah, you've got a relationship coming up. Let me give you the dates, or let me get you online, or even if you don't want to get online, I'm going to make you get online, or that's a joke, but still. But also in just the exploration of what might be really satisfying. Because we're not just one sign, because we're complex signs. And Cynthia, we are, did you ever notice, like with you or with your friends, we can be attracted to one kind of person, but maybe, want to make love with another kind of person, or, feel like we want to spend our life or have children with yet another kind of person. And we have to sew this together as complex beings. So as an astrologer, I will, kind of let it be known, that here's where the chemistry is going to be, but here's where the long-term compatibility is going to be. And then when we do comparison charts, we can say, okay, this is what your beloved is looking for, and this is what you're looking for, and here's what matches, here's what doesn't. And timing, because there's definitely times during the year when we are hard to be around, when we're looking for a fight, when we're looking for it. And so to know that those dates are, coming, kind of be cool those dates if you can. There's also dates of separation. And so it's either separation from the way it was, or it's separation. And we have to talk about those times too, because it's on the journey. So if astrology very succinctly describes the nature of a soul's journey. And so in there, the choices we make, the journey can be of a higher level or of a tougher level, but it's going to be along certain lines. So you want to use astrology to kind of like guide yourself to the highest expression you could go for, rather than lingering in, the midway or taking the low road, which is going to be the hardest road, actually, truthfully, and including in relationship. What would be the highest road here? Is it really time to make a commitment, or is it time to not? And right now, a lot of relationships are in a huge turning point, because we as humans are growing and changing so quickly. Who we were in 2020 and 2021, we're different now because we're evolving, hopefully, so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is so powerful. And ladies, I hope you're listening to this, because the planet is evolving and we're evolving. And so, getting clear about your timing and what's right for you is important. So first of all, Phyllis, how do people find you? And your phone should probably be coming off the hook.
I'm ready. My website is astrologerphyllis.com. Easy. Okay. And my website. And every week I'll put like a weekly forecast on my website if you just want to kind of tune in, or I have a free newsletter. You can just sign up. And I just kind of sum up the week and what we're learning from the week and what's shifting and what every sign can experience with that. And, particularly with females right now, this is a period of the awakening of the divine feminine and the awakening of the empowered feminine leaders. Really, believe it or not, that's what 2020 was all about. And, the COVID and all this, a real shift in leadership and how we're going to experience leadership. And it's all about the divine feminine. stepping into power. One thing this year, 2022, that right now we're working with compassion, but when we get to the May through October period, it is all about really trailblazing and finding something new. And I do find that women are like, oh my God, I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to bug somebody with what I want to do. But I'm telling you, we are being urged to trailblaze, to stand up, to be counted, to be gutsy.
This is so interesting, Phyllis. I mean, you wouldn't know this because we haven't ever spoken before, but between May and October, I have a new CD and a new book that is coming out. And so I just find that fascinating. So I asked the same last question of every guest. This show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the one thing women need to know about the importance of their awakening?
Well, oh God, where do I even begin? But I would say it's meant to be. It is meant to be, and it's meant to be now. So, any stepping lightly into it right now, it's a surge, and it's a service, and it's a ministry. We're lucky enough to be alive right now in a period when the feminine energy is just blossoming like mad. So everybody has their part to play. And, astrologically speaking, every sign has their specific part to play, and their specific, I call it ministry because it just comes natural and it helps others. But it is now. It is now. I mean, we always used to think, well, I'll do that later. We're in our laters now. It's happening.
Oh, you are so delightful. Thank you so much. I am so grateful that you came. I'm so grateful that you're doing what you're doing, and your passion is palpable. It's just wonderful. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Cynthia. It was a delight. Thank you.
So ladies, I tell you the same thing at the end of every session. You are a masterpiece. You are powerful. You are dynamic. You are original. You are unrepeatable. You are here on this planet at this moment for a divine reason, for a purpose that no one else can fulfill. The moment you say yes, the universe syncs up and takes you to another place. Step into it, own it. You are a gift for this planet at this time. I'm so grateful to walk this path with you. I'm so grateful that we get to connect, and I will see you soon.